Will Project Iceworm ever be reopened in Greenland? Most people have never heard of Project Iceworm, and that's not an accident. It was one of the most ambitious, secretive Cold War military projects ever attempted, buried literally under the ice of Greenland. And lately, the question has been popping up again. Could Project Iceworm ever be reopened? To answer that, we need to understand what it really was, why it failed, and what's happening in Greenland today. What Project Iceworm actually was. In the late 1950s, at the height of the Cold War, the United States Army quietly launched Project Iceworm. The goal was extreme, to build a massive underground network of tunnels beneath the Greenland ice sheet, tunnels that could hide and move nuclear missiles. The idea was that missiles buried under miles of ice would be nearly impossible for the Soviet Union to detect or destroy in a first strike. To test whether this was even possible, the U.S. built a prototype base called Camp Century in 1959. Officially, it was a scientific research station. Unofficially, it was a proof of concept for Iceworm. At its peak, Camp Century had living quarters, laboratories, power systems, even a portable nuclear reactor, all carved directly into the ice. On paper, Project Iceworm envisioned hundreds of miles of tunnels and potentially hundreds of nuclear missiles hidden beneath Greenland. It was bold, it was secret, and it was incredibly risky. Why the project failed? What the planners underestimated was the ice itself. Greenland's ice sheet isn't solid like bedrock. It moves, it flows, it shifts. Within just a few years, engineers realized the tunnels were slowly collapsing. Walls warped, ceilings sagged, tracks bent. Keeping the tunnels open required constant cutting and rebuilding. The ice was winning. By the mid-1960s, the military admitted the truth. The concept was not sustainable. In 1966, Camp Century was abandoned, and Project Iceworm was officially canceled. No missiles were ever deployed. The grand underground network never moved beyond theory. What was left behind, fuel, equipment, waste, was simply entombed in ice and forgotten. Or so everyone thought. Why Iceworm is being talked about again. Fast forward to today. As Greenland's ice slowly melts due to climate change, radar surveys and research flights have rediscovered parts of Camp Century buried beneath the ice. This sparked headlines, speculation, and online rumors that Project Iceworm might be coming back. But here's the key point. Rediscovery does not mean reactivation. What scientists are worried about now isn't missiles, it's environmental risk. Old diesel fuel, chemical waste, and radioactive material remain trapped in the ice, and warming temperatures could eventually expose them. That's a cleanup problem, not a military revival. So, could Project Iceworm be reopened? Realistically, no. There is no credible evidence that Project Iceworm is being reopened, revived, or rebuilt in any form. Here's why. First, the original tunnels no longer exist in usable condition. Decades of ice movement have crushed and distorted them. Second, the military strategy itself is obsolete. Modern nuclear deterrence relies on submarines, satellites, and mobile platforms, not hidden ice tunnels. Third, Greenland is part of the Kingdom of Denmark. Any major military construction would require open diplomatic agreement, not Cold War secrecy. And finally, the original flaw still exists. Ice moves. That problem has never gone away. What is happening in Greenland today? Greenland is still strategically important, just not for Project Iceworm. The U.S. maintains a presence at Patuxent Space Base, formerly Thule Air Base, which supports missile warning systems, space surveillance, and Arctic defense. This modern presence is above ground, transparent, and focused on detection and defense, not buried nuclear weapons. So while the Arctic matters more than ever geopolitically, Iceworm itself is a dead project. Why the myth won't die? Project Iceworm combines everything people love to speculate about. Secret bases, nuclear weapons, buried cities, melting ice, and Cold War secrecy. But the reality is far less dramatic. What's under the ice today isn't a hidden doomsday weapon. It is a reminder of how far governments once pushed technology and how nature pushed back harder. Final takeaway. Project Iceworm was a fascinating Cold War experiment, but it failed for fundamental reasons that still exist today. It is not being reopened. What remains beneath Greenland's ice is history, not a future weapon system. And sometimes the scariest part of old military projects isn't what they were meant to do. it was what they left behind.